Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution.
Each week we explore some of the greatest undertold stories of businesses and everyday people who are making their ultimate impact on the world through social mission. This is Social Mission Revolution,
And this is your host, Andrea Putting. Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution. And today my guest is Asootosh Welcome
Kkant.
to the Social
And this is the
Mission
first time
Revolution.
I've had a guest from India. Each
So
week we
that's
explore
always
some of the
exciting.
greatest
Someone from
undertold
something different
stories
in the world.
of businesses
But
and
Asootosh
everyday
is an
people who
entrepreneur
are
and he has
making
his
their
own
ultimate
IT
impact on
company.
the world.
He's also
through
a
social
best-selling
mission.
author and a speaker.
This is
Who
Social
has over
Mission
the past
Revolution.
12 months And this is your published host, 5 Andrea books,
Putting.
helping over 100 authors become best-selling authors. So it's a pretty amazing achievement. So welcome, Asootosh.
Thank you, Andrea, and namaste to everyone. And it's my privilege to be your first guest from India. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. So I always want to start with that question that I ask everybody. If there was just one thing for you to fight for, what would that be?
That one thing would be freedom. If you want me to elaborate, I'll elaborate that.
Yes, elaborate a little.
We're all born free, isn't it?
Mm.
But with the circumstances, with the situations in our life, we get caught in the shackles of life, of circumstances. And sometimes we don't understand that we're actually chained, and we're not free. Though we call it a free world, but we are not free, because imagine the kind of news we are bombarded with every day. So we form our opinions, and we start working and communicating and behaving in a particular way, depending on the external circumstances. So we are actually not free to decide, to choose, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And that's a good definition of freedom, of being free to choose. Because we might think that we're free, but if we aren't able to make those own decisions for ourselves and choose where we want to go and what we want to do, we're not free. And at the moment, we can definitely say we're not free, because I'm not allowed to go 5 kilometres from my house. So there's no freedom there. But we have freedom in other ways. So we'd love to talk about the books you've published, but the reason I've asked you on the Social Mission Revolution is the social mission behind them. So first you better tell me a little bit about the books, and then we can lead into that.
Okay. Andrea, we started thinking about the books when the lockdown started. Everything stopped, and there was a lot of job losses everywhere. People were suffering because of the lockdown. The business, even the personal relationship were taking a hit because everyone was together, isn't it?
Yes, certainly were.
Yeah, and I think in every adversity there is an opportunity. So with the Speakers Tribe Global, I thought there was an opportunity that we had a global family across the world: India, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, UK. We had our tribe members everywhere. So I thought, what is that we can do together, which we can bind with each other, we can bond with each other. And what is the way we can also inspire the world? Yes, we are public speakers. Mm-hmm. We are keynote speakers. But again, there is a limit to our voice reaching to the places where we want. So what was the next best way to do that? I thought, let's do those books, because I always believe books are the only way you can become an immortal. Because once your story is there, and you never know, even after long we have gone, someone picks up the book, wipes the dust, reads the story, and get inspired. And the day a person gets inspired through your story, you relive. You're there,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
So from there, we were just discussing, like I'm discussing with you. We were discussing in a drive, and the idea was seated, let's do a book together. I said, let's do it globally. And from there, we started on. And because we know everyone has got a blockbuster story, because most of the people used to think, how on earth I can become an author? I don't have a story. So we picked out the stories from our own lives.
Yes.
And trust me, our own lives is more inspiring, isn't it?
Yes.
So again, getting everyone together, and then authors also wrote their story. It was actually a very big decision also when people are ready to write their story, because most of the time we are holding ourselves back. That who wants to read a story? Why should I bring those black incidents in my life which has happened, the past incidents, and why should I tell the world? So I think the authors were brave enough. They came up, they wrote their stories, and from there the journey started. The first book was Revive and Thrive, Volume 1. Then we had another 20 authors doing Revive or Thrive, Volume 2. Then we have the third book, Make a Difference, where we had 21 authors in that book. And Undefeated was launched this year in February. We had 20 authors there. And finally, this new book, where you're also an author in this book. The first story is yours, I Am Possible. And it's been a very satisfying journey. It fills me because people have really come out of this story. They were a story they were holding back. Again, when I spoke about freedom, when you put your story into a book, which is available for the world to read, you get your freedom. You get liberated out of your story.
Yes. Well, that's what I found when I wrote my first book, that releasing it, actually publishing the book, I suddenly felt very vulnerable, because while the book was on leadership, it wasn't necessarily about my story. There was a lot of myself in it and a lot of my own stories. And suddenly I felt like I was standing naked in front of the world or something, because I was just sharing who I was, and some of that I may have not wanted to share previously. So it's an interesting experience when you actually do write a book.
I think it's a very, very powerful way to express yourself. And like I said, it's a way to liberate your own self first.
Yes.
Books are your own reflection. Your stories are your own reflection to the world.
Yes.
And I think each one of us has a story which can inspire people across the world. You never know whom you're going to inspire, but there are people out there looking for your story. So I always believe that before we go to the grave, put down that story so that someone else can learn from your story and transform. Isn't it?
Yes.
What do you say, Andrea?
Yes.
What's your view on this?
I think that's beautiful, and it is really important that we share our stories. I know that there are certain stories that my mother hasn't shared. I go and say something, go, oh yeah, but that was just my life growing up. It's like, yeah, but I don't know it. Tell me. So a lot of people don't share those stories, and they are important. I've actually spent the day writing for another book, and in ways that I haven't written before, and it just to not change a story, but to reflect on it in different ways, on different angles, on different perspectives. It's really quite moving for yourself. It's just going, oh, you start to understand your own processes, your own story of what happened and why things happened. but you can also see how each one of your stories fit together to make this incredible what? This incredible who you are now. Yeah. And you can really start to express those gratitude for those things that may not have gone so smoothly in your life.
These stories are actually, it gives you time to reflect back. And when you're writing a story, you really understand that at that moment, why it mattered so much. And now, when you're writing, it's just like, why I was so annoyed at that time, and why did I feel all that? So it was just a story. Again, when I said you actually get liberated out of your, out of those stories, you really grow up.
Yeah. And I really believe that because I've been writing so much, that it's really helped me to not only express myself, but to take myself into a new direction, a new level.
Yes, yeah.
I'm able to. Those stories aren't holding me back anymore. I'm not hiding them.
You're not hiding them
down somewhere. I'm actually sharing them, and through sharing them, I'm helping other people and building my own legacy.
Yes, it's a legacy. Yes, like I said, it's a you become an immortal. It's a legacy which you're leaving behind for people.
Yes.
And most of the time, you will find that people will know you. Say, for example, you have kids, then you have grandkids, right? So till your grandkids, your story would be there. Otherwise, if not written.
Yes.
What about their kids? They will never know you. They will only know you through, okay, she was a great grandmother, right? But once you put down your story, you live with them. You live for so many generations with them.
Yes.
They exactly know where we come from, because in your story, you talk about your family also. So look at the connection which you create. Look at the legacy you leave behind, when you're writing your own stories.
Yes. And I know that when my grandchildren do one day pick up what could then be a bookshelf full of books, and they'll come in and see all grandma's books that she's written. And they'll know me on a whole different level than the grandma who goes outside and plays in puddles with them.
And it feels great, when you know your grandparents, when you know the tree you belong to, the roots.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Then you're more rooted. The generation now requires that more than ever now.
Yes.
Because of the social media, because of so many distractions in life, these stories, what we are living today, will fade away if we are not putting them in the books. So it's very, very important that we put them not only for our own family, it's for the world to know, how we lived and what difference we made. When I was reading through all these 100 stories, because I was involved in all the 5 books, I really own these stories because each and every story has added value in my life in some form or the other. And through these stories, I think my transformation has also happened as a better human being. And these stories, through stories, you start looking at the circumstances of the authors, of the people, what they went through, why they are what they are today, and how they actually came up, like Sam says, bounced forward.
Yes, Sam Cawthorne, yes.
Yes, Sam Cawthorne, our mentor.
Yes, bounce forward is a great concept. I love that. Along with proximity is power. And we prove how powerful proximity is but allows you to actually put a book together like this, which is just so full of inspirational stories that are going to really make a difference in people's lives. Yes, you've got 3 of them there.
5.
5 books. That's amazing. So one of the things that I really wanted to speak to you about is you've done these 5 books and they've sold and there's been a bit of money people buy the books. So there's money that's accumulated. I'd love for you to share about what's happened with the proceeds for these books.
So right from the beginning, we ensure that the money, we stand up for a cause.
Mm-hmm.
As speakers, as authors, we always stand up for a cause. And this call was to help people who require that. And each and every book has been associated with one charity or the other. Like for all the proceeds of the book, each and every penny goes to the charity.
Yes.
Not only that, we ensure that, like you would have seen that I'm possible when we launched this, we have sent a cake to the charity. Even the charity people was on board,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and how excited they are to be also associated with the book, where they see all the global authors coming together and cheering for them and standing for them. Sometimes you require people standing for you. These people, when we do this charity, it's a gift we are giving.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something special we are doing for them. This we are supposed to do this for people who are unprivileged, to make
Yes.
a difference in their life.
Mm-hmm. And one thing is, once they've got their name written on a book here,
Yeah.
it also becomes promotional for them. People
Yes.
learn about them and their charity, and however many books of this you've got, because it is in the book, it does talk about who they are and what they're about. So it helps them to promote.
In fact, one of the pages
Their
is also
cause as
dedicated. Yeah, one of the page in the book, the first page, is also dedicated to the charity, where they
Yes.
talk about what they are, and also all their email links and their contact details are given. So
Mhm.
anyone who wants to contact them and want to donate or help them in any way, they can do that. And also at the back cover of all the books, we'll have the charity details,
Yes.
the charity we stand for. So everything is very transparent, and also, like I said, we always invite the charity, the people who, the founders, who the charities are, who are on the board. They come also when we are inaugurating the books. They're there, so all the time they're visible. So it's not that any invisible charity we're doing. So these people are visible. We ensure that the amount is credited directly to their account from the all the book sales.
Mm-hmm.
So for the books, this time we had Kshitij from Mumbai,
Yeah.
a charity, and again this is a sheltered workplace for intellectually challenged adults. So this time we've associated with Kshitij. Last book, Undefeated. We associated with the Daughters of Tomorrow. It's a charity in Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
So all the proceeds of the book from Undefeated went to the Daughters of Tomorrow.
Yes.
For this book, Make a Difference. Make a Difference. All the proceeds of the sales of the book went to a charity again in Mumbai called International Teachers Guild. This supports the economically weaker section schools by helping teachers with training and providing training aids and books to the children.
Lovely.
So for all the books, the money has gone to the charity.
And how have you decided which charities that they would go to?
How do we decide? And we always have a core team. Whenever we do a book, we always have a core team of people, and most of them are from all the tribes. Like for all the core team, we'll have one representative from Australia, Singapore, and India.
Yes.
And then we sit together and we decide, whom we can support in whatever way. Because sometimes what happens is, for the charity also to take donations, sometimes international donation becomes an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are other. So we look at how they're governed. Because some of the charities we wanted to associate with, but they had some issue in taking the donations because government has some regulations.
Yes.
So we always speak to the charity and understand whether how we can, give them the money in terms that their accounts are directly linked so that all the sale proceeds goes. So we understand, and most of the charities would come from a reference. That's someone we know. It's not that we're going to give it to anyone we don't know.
Yeah.
We because the credential needs to be established that we are doing into the right charity.
Yes. So you're not just
randomly pick.
You've always got to look at which charity you get involved in and where they put money and how they work, so that you know that it gets to where you want it to go.
So it has to come from the right reference, because through reference we know whom we are approaching.
Yep.
And how the money is being spent. So so the credential needs to be established.
Yes.
So that's very, very important. Because if we are standing for the cause and the money doesn't go at the right place, then what is the point?
That's right.
Because everyone across the globe buys this book thinking that they're buying this book, okay, they're buying a book to read stories. But what I feel is, in a way, they're also helping the society. When they buy the book, the money goes to the charity. For me, it's the biggest service you can do, when you can donate to people who are unprivileged.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So again, these books not only stand for the stories of the authors, these books also stand for the unprivileged, people who can actually make a difference through this money.
Yes. So the books make a difference on multiple levels.
Multiple levels, yes.
Yes. It makes a difference to the authors because they're able to share their stories and help them to
really break their shackles and become a freedom, like I said.
Yeah. It's that freedom in writing and sharing your story with the world. And the people who read it become inspired, and who knows where that'll take them. And then it helps the charity. So it's a good concept, a good concept. So I can really encourage people to go on to Amazon and pick themselves up a copy of I Am Possible. And then they can read my story, which really tells you about why I started the social mission revolution. So
your story is number one, because you're one of the tallest leaders, not only the tallest leaders in the Speakers Tribe Global, but also someone who's really, really served from the heart. And I think that's your core value, that you're there standing for people, volunteering to make a difference in their life. So for me, and for the entire core team of this book, it was honor to have your story at number one, because not only it was the best, because you deserve that honor of standing for the transformative journey of so many people whom you've helped.
Well, thank you. And it was a real honor and a surprise when I saw my story as number one. And I'll always honor that. I will always feel it was a very special moment for me when I found that. So if anyone wants to find out more about what you're doing in the world, well, first of all, they can get these books on Amazon, and they will support charities directly, and you'll get lots of inspirational stories. So especially during this time when so many people are locked down and feeling down and depressed, I reckon just grab yourself one of these books and get some inspiration, so you can find out how people are dealing with all the different issues in their lives. And I think that if you get one of these books, no matter who you are, you'll find a story that will resonate with you deeply. So apart from that, how can people get in touch with you? Get in touch with anything that you're doing, because you are a speaker and author, so you need to be able to share that with the world.
Oh yes, so you can always come to my LinkedIn profile. My name is Asootosh Kant, ASOOTOSH You can reach out to me, and I'll be happy to serve you because that's my core too. And I'm learning from you, Andrea. Uh, uh, because what I feel, what the service you can do to a mankind is to add value in their life in whatever way you can. People are not always looking for money.
Mm-hmm.
People looking for some kind of a support, some kind of a contact, some kind of a information which they're not aware of, which can actually make a difference. So I always talk about how you can actually make a difference in someone's life.
Mm.
Have you been listening to people, or only you've been speaking? And when you're
Yes.
listening, are you actively listening what they're trying to tell you?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, active listening holds I think the any best gift you can give to someone is your ear, a patience listening without unfiltered listening without judgment. When you
Yes.
can give it to that person, I think his own problems get resolved. Because most of the time we complain about people don't listen to us, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So why not solve that problem for someone else
Mm-hmm.
and be a good listener? I always believe the world can be a better place if someone was listening, actually.
So I was just going to ask you for some advice that you want to share with people. And I think you've just done that. But if someone has a story that they want to share with the world, what would be your advice?
My advice would be if you got a lot of, again, when you want to share your story with the world, you don't need to have a big book for that. You can ask people, three, four, or five, or 10 people to get together. Everyone has a story. Do a collaborative book. I'll tell you what a collaborative book means. That like-minded people come together. They put on their stories. The reason is when you do your own story, your book goes only to your network. It doesn't reach the world out there. You
Mm-hmm.
need to spend a lot of money. But when you do a collaborative book, you're leveraging everyone's network across the globe to share your story. So
Yes.
my advice would be if you're doing your first book, do a collaborative book. Find out people in your network who want to do a story and get them together, put up a collaborative book. That way your story would be there. That way you'll get that confidence that your story is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And every story is perfect, trust me. Don't get into a mode, my story is not that good, his story is much more, he has suffered a lot. No, everyone has got, in this life you've seen enough.
Yes.
So put out your story, do a collaborative book, get onto the world. It'll give you the confidence to write another story, another book,
Mm.
and then sky is the limit.
Yes.
But you will not die. Not take your story to the grave. Don't take your story to the grave.
You become immortal.
You become immortal, yes. You definitely become immortal. Look, Andrea, like I had shared, I'll also share this example with a viewer. One of a very dear friend, Ritu Grover, she was part of Make a Difference.
Mm-hmm.
Her story, she unfortunately expired during this COVID. She was a very, very brave woman. She was an empowering woman, and she had a lot of followers. She was a very empowered woman, making a difference, a lot of difference. She expired, and during her prayer meeting, you won't believe her daughter read her story. And her daughter, her parents shared something which is, very, very emotional. They said, through this story, she got liberated.
Yes.
After the story, when she wrote this story, there were so many things she was holding back for 17 long years in her life, which she never shared. And through this story shared, she bared everything out. So her family, her friends could know the real her.
Mm.
And she really, really got liberated. She got, she actually got that freedom. And last conversation I was having with the parents, In fact, we dedicated this book to her and all the COVID warriors. So the first book, the first published book went to her parents. They inaugurated this book for us. And they shared something very, it was very touching. They shared that through a story, like we actually came to know what she suffered from so many years. And after she had written the story, it was published. They said we could find a lot of changes in her. She was more open, more dynamic. She was already dynamic. They said it really changed her trajectory. But I'm sorry that she didn't, she's not with us, but through her story, she's there. She'll always be there.
Yes. And anytime they can pick up the book and reconnect with her.
And Andy, if you remember, one of the authors in this book, I'm Possible, Vidya, she shared something. She said, I was not writing my story. I thought my story was not all that good. Why should I write story and why should I open out? She said, when I was reading through Make a Difference and I read through Ritu's story, after reading a story, I decided to write my own story. So look at the immortality which I was talking about, that you live through your story. Even after she was gone, she was inspiring someone. And not only that, she'll be inspiring millions of people. And we'll all be inspiring millions of people there.
Yes.
That you are not alone.
Yes.
There is someone there to hold you.
Beautiful.
And there is someone who has suffered much more than you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So
if they can bounce back, you can too.
Mm-hmm.
Much more higher.
Yes. So I really encourage people to have a look at one of these books.
Please do. Please.
I don't usually sell myself, but I always encourage people to look at what I speak about on the podcast. And there's a lot of charities that I talk to that are very worthwhile of people following and finding out more about. So here's another one. You can support a charity and inspire yourself at the same time. So I'd like to thank you, Asootosh, for coming on to Social Mission Revolution. It's been a real pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Thank you, Andrea. It's a real honor to be here. And namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Namaste. And that's all we have time for today on the Social Mission Revolution. I'll be back next time with another Social Mission Revolutionist. This has been the Social Mission Revolution with Andrea Putting. Join me again next week when we'll speak to another Social Mission Revolutionist who will inspire you on your journey to making your ultimate impact on the world.